Hello, my name is Brianna Sinclair, and this is my 22nd week on HRT. On my channel, I post mostly transgender content, so if you like my channel, please like, comment, subscribe to help support me. And with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So quick measurements update. My hips are at 34 1/4, my bust is 35 even, and my waist is 25 1/4. So there is literally no difference between my measurements except for my waist has gotten a 1/4 inch smaller, and I attribute that to mostly my waist trainer that I wear while I'm working. I do wear the waist trainer to kind of like accentuate my hips a little bit more, because if I bring in my waist, it makes my hips look bigger. So that's why I wear that, and it does kind of give me like a nice little shape whenever I'm not wearing it. My emotional state is very stable. Actually surprisingly stable. It's a little hard not to it's hard to compare it to another time, because it's almost as though it didn't change, and that's what's really hard about the emotional portion, is because I only notice it after the fact, and that's why it's so weird. So I feel like I'm in just as much control as I was even pre-HRT, but having said that, there are certain things that do hit a little harder as far as emotions go, and I hope that makes a little bit more sense, because to kind of like clarify it, like usually I was a very quiet person in my relationship, and I was always like the person that would just be like, hey, there's a problem, let's fix it. But now it's more of like I'm kind of trying to preemptively fix things, and like if the problem arises, I try and do a little bit better to make sure that we don't end up with that same situation, because I don't like issues occurring. I would much rather have fun in my relationship than keep going through the same issues. Because ideally you go through a problem once or twice, you get it fixed, and then once you figure out how to deal with the situation, you never have to do it again. That's what I like to do. So like if I'm working on my car, I'll go through things and I'll figure things out, and once I figure them out, it makes it a lot easier. Like my arms are a little messed up from the me doing the electrical work outside. At my career, I was doing a lot of electrical work. I was hooking up wires and stuff, and the gnats out here were crazy. Afterwards, I did go home, and I did end up going to my other job, and that night I ended up dropping the gas tank in my car. Well, the first time I dropped the gas tank, it took me forever, because there's a fitting on one of the hoses that goes directly to the pump, and you're supposed to have a special tool for it. I got that tool, and it didn't work, so I took a little pick set, and I basically picked it. It kind of reminded me of picking a lock, but more circular, I guess. It's like if you single picked a circular lock, and that's kind of what it felt like. But the first time, it took me like 4 hours to just get the fitting off. Now it takes me 2 hours for the whole thing. That's from the moment I jack up the car to the moment I finish putting all the bolts back in. that's kind of how I like to view problems and stuff like that. I don't get angry at like past things. I get angry at situations because situations are usually ongoing, and that's why I don't. There's not really a need for me to like argue with my wife. Whenever she gets mad, like I'll do a little playful banter and stuff, especially now because I am a little bit more emotional and stuff like that. So I would much rather us have good times instead of having to deal with these little arguments and stuff like that, because we don't get to talk to each other as much as anywhere near as much as I would like, but it be what it be. My hair reduction growth, I have not noticed really anything as far as that goes. I have noticed my skin is a lot softer, but I haven't really noticed that my hair is not growing and stuff like that, or is becoming thinner in any real place between last week and this week. So there is that. My breast growth, I still am experiencing a little bit of breast growth. It does kind of hurt on and off. It's a little weird. So I think this is about all I'm going to get. And that's kind of where I'm sitting at that. I've started to eat a little bit more and stuff like that, so that way my body has enough nutrition to work with in order to actually get some form of growth. But I think this is all I'm going to get on HRT, but from what I read, most start seeing the breast growth at this stage. They don't start finishing it at this stage. So I'm a little hesitant to say I think it's over. And the only indication I have of that is just the lack of chest pain. Like, it doesn't really hurt that much anymore, and I'm a little concerned for that because I would like my breasts to still keep growing. But if they decide to stop, I do intend to get a breast augmentation, because I feel like it would help me pass a little bit better and look more like a woman instead of, I know a lot of my haters and stuff are probably calling me a man in a dress, but that's not really the case. I can be a male in a dress, but I'm no man in a dress. I failed at being a man. My fat redistribution, I am not noticing anything. So, there is that. And my sex drive. I don't have the need for it. Like, do I want sex? Sure. But it's more, there's no real physical need for it for me. I don't have the uncontrollable urge to just go out and have sex. That's not something I need or want. It is annoying because, like, sometimes I do get it, but I don't get it as much or as often. And it's extremely annoying for the fact that, like, it takes me a lot longer to get through it. It's honestly a little depressing because I feel like it shouldn't take that long. And maybe I have heard of, like, some other trans women who are who have to like rediscover like how their body works and stuff like that. And maybe that's what I need to do, is kind of like refigure out like what I like. But I think what I like is not being alone. Because me and my wife do live separately, and that's due to a whole story of a situation that's for her to tell. But in living apart, we still love each other and do our best to make things work. It's just with me transitioning and the distance between us, it's a little hard. And you don't have to tell me that the odds are stacked against me. I know that they are. I've looked up the odds, and the odds have never, ever been in my favor. I don't gamble or place bets or anything like that because the odds are always against me, even if it makes sense for them not to. So I try and minimize the damage that can be done. My relationship is damage that I was willing to take because having that person there in your life is worth it. It's a little bit more than just having like a permanent best friend. It's having a partner in everything. Like, they are an extension of you and you're an extension of them. You should be a team. And that's what I loved. And whenever we're apart and whenever we're different, things are very different. And I don't enjoy that difference, to be honest with you. And I just try and get through the days until I see her again, because whenever we're together, it's so different in such a wonderful way that makes me want to keep going in the relationship, and that's what I do my best to do. I love my wife. With all my heart, I love her, and I try and tell her that as much as I can, and I hope that she sees that. I do know she wants to do a video at some point in time so that y'all can meet her, and we just kind of gotta set it up. I think we're canceling my trip to Kentucky to see my wife perform, and I am sad about it because she worked really hard on everything, but I'm also a little happy about it because this gives her the chance to dress it up and do it bigger and badder the next time she goes. I think that would be really cool, because she only gets to do the unveiling one time, so why not make it as big and bad as possible? And I want her to be prepared. I want her to go in there, and I want it to be obvious that she wins her competition. If somebody cheated, it should be obvious. or if somebody was favored, it should be obvious. That's what I want the margin to be. That's always what I want the margin to be. And I've succeeded in helping to create that. But ultimately, she's the one who makes that margin. I just do my best in helping her whenever I can, so that way she's not as stressed. There was a competition she did, and I made some of her dancer costumes. And I stayed up till 3 a.m. The night before. I rested for a couple hours, and then I got back up and finished them because they were going to be used that day. And yeah. Damn. I do my best for her because I would want that. I would want a partner that does their best. And so I feel like you should be the partner that you would want. That's me. Me being tired all the time that is probably the next thing I'll touch on, and that is pretty consistent. I've not gotten over me being tired for this round yet. I do hope that I can work through having very little energy. I do find myself out of breath sometimes. And I think that might be due to like the low blood pressure and stuff like that, because spironolactone is a blood pressure medication. It also just blocks your testosterone. Because it's an anti-androgen. And, yeah. I know what my hormones do. I've looked it up. The only thing that I'm not taking that I wish I was oh man, I've completely forgotten what it was. But some transgender women get prescribed it, and I did try and make a case for it because I wanted my body to develop as quickly as possible, so that way whenever I started getting surgeries and stuff like that, all my results were already complete. I have to look the name of that up later. But I'm taking estradiol and spironolactone. The estradiol is my estrogen that I take orally. Same with the spironolactone. I do want to switch to injections at some point because they're better for the liver. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that, but I do hope that in the future I can make that case, and I'll only need to take it once a week. So it'd be like every day, well, like every Monday or Tuesday I would take it, and then the next 2 days I'd probably be really moody, and then whenever I'm coming down and everything levels off, I'd be fine. At least that's my experience with the injections, because my wife used to be on them. Excuse me. My muscle development. I'm still pretty toned. My muscles are decreasing a little bit, and I do get fatigued very easily. But part of that could be due to me being tired a little bit, but it be. I don't know where I'm going to be going for all of my surgeries, but I do hope my results are good. Because part of the reason I'm at one of my jobs is for the insurance to cover my my surgeries. And that was one of the big reasons why I'm still there. If I didn't have the insurance, I probably wouldn't renew my contract. And I would do something a lot more me. I don't mind doing electrical work. It's fun for me to kind of like see things come together and make them work. It's very rewarding. At least there's a lot of job satisfaction in it. Like whenever something breaks and you can fix it and put it back together and you finally turn it on again and it works. It's very satisfying because you're like, I did that. I made that work. But that's not my main job. Bless you. But I like that aspect of it. I don't know whenever my wife comes on, I don't know what she plans to talk about. Because it could literally be anything. We could talk about how we're making our relationship work. We could talk about our plans for the future. We could talk about us having kids. Maybe that's the video where she's like, I don't want to be in a relationship or something like that with you anymore. No matter what, I love her. And I just want her to be happy. So whatever the topic is that comes up, I'll give it my best take. But anyway, I think that's enough for tonight. If you like my channel, please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear your questions, and I would love to be able to answer them. So this is Brianna Sinclair signing off.